Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of Gruber Wired. I'm Mark Beach.
I'm John Dotson, and welcome once again.
Yes, and who do we have, John?
Who do we have here? Ty with MacDemid Design. Hello, Ty. How are you?
Good. How's it going?
Going well. Yourself?
Yeah, pretty good. Thank you guys for having me on the show.
Hey, that was a cool little intro video you had there.
Yeah, so I kind of just a quick breakdown of some of the things we do, everything metal manufacturing related, cutting, bending, welding, all the good stuff.
Here we go, yes.
Very cool.
We have metal products, which is why, it's important to understand it's a cool factor of how things are done, right?
Right, exactly, yes. Ty, now, you've been working with metal for how long?
So I've been doing this my whole life. I tell people I've had one job. Basically, as soon as I was old enough to count brackets and sweep floors, I was there helping out. And freshman year of high school is when that turned into a real job and learning the things that we do around the shop.
Nice.
Oh, very cool. Highlander's already chiming in there.
Yo,
Says, very
Highlander.
cool video from Pete. Highlander says, let's get this party started. We're here to learn, the Highlander.
Let's do it.
Highlander's been a follower of ours for some time. Really
Sweet.
great guy. So
Awesome.
Thank you, Highlander.
Let's talk to him about some metal.
Yeah, so
There you go.
how did you really, it started out in high school. From there,
Yeah.
where did it progress? Now, this is a family-owned business, correct?
Yeah, so my dad started this business out of his garage in '93, I believe. He came down, he was from Prescott and moved down here to go to school. Was working in a fabrication shop and kind of grew that and expanded it until he was busy enough with his own work that it made sense to, patch off and do his own thing. Has been running it ever since, and now we're in a 9,500 square foot facility, and I hopped in and started learning all the tricks. So, every step of the process.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff.
It's always good to learn from the ground up.
Exactly.
Yeah, especially in the family, right? So it's not just you involved in this, right? Your wife's involved. You have
Yep.
other family members involved.
Yeah, so everybody's there. My dad is a little bit more removed now. He gets to just focus on a couple of his remaining customers and do the CAD work and design and the things that he really enjoys. I've taken over more of the customer load. My mom does the bookkeeping, and then my wife comes in and helps out if we ever need a couple extra hands, or if she also does our social media, edits videos, photos, and things like that for us too. So
Nice.
all hands on deck.
There we
Very
go.
cool.
Yeah.
See, Janie says hello, says hi, team.
Yeah.
Hi, Janie.
and we see they switched up today. Instead of Don Johnson is Bark Meach. Easy is getting hot. Glad I have a working truck.
Yeah.
It is getting spicy out there.
It is, isn't it? Hey, we're supposed to cool down. They're saying this weekend we're supposed to be at 101, 102. So
Yeah,
that is a
you know.
nice little cool down for us.
Finally a break.
It's not hot yet. This
So-
is just the ramp up.
I know. We know what's coming, right? So the metal work is one thing, but I want to ask you something else too. What about the business perspective and the
Yeah.
business side of getting started in this? And a lot of this, I'm sure you've learned from your family and kind of taken. But did you go to other educational services to gain that knowledge?
So when I graduated high school, I went to Arizona State University, and I had originally went to study electrical engineering. Calculus 3 was my cap, so I got all the way up to Calc 3, and that was kind of couldn't really cut it there. So I transferred over to do business data analytics, which it does help in my work now. So just being able to pull data as far as how efficient we are being on jobs and those kind of things, looking at just the numbers and running reports, generating data and stuff like that. It helps give us an insight on what we're doing. So yeah, graduated from ASU in 2017, and then that's when I came back and started full time.
Nice.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I know that we kind of grew into the relationship, right? I mean, we had some needs, it's been busy here at Gruber. Let me just tell you that.
Good things.
And great. Yeah, really good things. And so we had come to you to solve the problem, right? And just answered the bell. And now we have, some great solutions as a result of that. I know I've seen the product already, and it's amazing.
It's top notch.
It is.
Thank
It
you.
is.
Yeah, quality speaking. Just great quality work.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's one of the main things that I try to focus on. I know that we're a small business and we're a small family-run business, and there's a lot of things that come with that. And one of them is that I might not necessarily be competitive in every aspect, especially with a global marketplace nowadays where you can source stuff from all over the world for way cheaper here. But let's let's do it right, and let's do it in a way that makes sense for everybody. So that's kind of my goal is, hey, I might not be the cheapest in every instance, but I'm gonna be the best. That's my motivation.
Right. And I mean, there's, with everything that's going on, like you're saying, American made is where it's at. And then one step further, I mean, being in Arizona, working with Arizona companies, that's, something we try and sell when we talk to people that are local. Hey, we're in your backyard. You know, you can give us a call. You can pick stuff up. There is no shipping if you don't want there to be any shipping, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's just an unnecessary add-on for a lot of things. But I mean, it's a cost of doing business when, you're separated by miles. But if you're local, man, it doesn't make sense.
It's helpful.
It doesn't make sense not to do business with local companies, right?
Yeah, exactly. Highlander up there says, an electrical guy, a man after my own heart question, does your company build anything for local machine tool shops in the local build shops, such as automation?
I do work with other machine shops, but I don't necessarily make anything directly for them. So we focus primarily on sheet metal manufacturing, and a lot of that is going to be consumer goods or parts that are used in assemblies or in other industries. So basically anything that can be cut from a sheet of metals. Doesn't matter really the thickness. We have a lot of range there, but if it can be cut out of metal, that's what we focus on and make it that way. But as far as industries, we do everything from domestic to military, automotive to power sports, and anything in between. So I tell my little tagline I use for people is I make miniguns and mailboxes. So.
There we go.
Love it.
Yeah.
Looks like your wife is saying hi.
Yeah. Hi, Courtney.
Hello, Courtney. How you doing there?
Yeah, she's in the operating room right now. There we go. Get back
wow.
to work.
Is she operating on a human?
No, she's of anesthesia tech. So she is in charge of the dog and going down. So she does canine. See, it's she's gonna berate me for this. It's Arizona Canine Sports Medicine, I believe is what it is. So that's the place that she's at. And
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yep.
Can she put down cats? Is what I need to know.
That's probably not the favorite part of her job, but yes, she can do that.
Aaron, don't turn into a John, please.
Hey, I wasn't going to go there today. So let's start talking the metal, right? Because that is kind of the heartbeat of your business and what you do.
Yeah.
So let's go back in time a little bit. Talk about how you became, kind of, I guess, fascinated by metalwork?
Yeah.
I mean, what drove you to want to do metalwork, and then kind of the education behind that?
Yeah. So I really value being able to make stuff with my hands and being able to look back at the end of the day and have a representation of what I completed. So if I come down and I work at the shop all day, ideally I'm going to have a pile of good completed parts. So that's really like my personal big motivation for working with this, is just being able to have something that I can show for and like, okay, I did this, I completed something. I think my toughest days are probably the ones where I'm just sending emails all day and doing office work and stuff, because then I can look back at the end and be like, oh, well, I don't have that pile of stuff that I got done. But that was kind of that's my big motivating factor.
Yeah. Okay, I know we got some photos of your work. If you want to go through some of those, explain what you're doing there.
No bagels for Aaron.
No bagels for Aaron, huh?
Well,
You're cut off, buddy.
Well, the cat's owner's putting me on a keto diet soon, so I guess no bagels for me.
No
then.
bagels either way.
Yeah.
Grub's Life, the dynamic duo.
But
It's Gruber's life.
Grub's Life.
I think it's
Like
Noah.
Grubs. Is that Noah?
Yes, I think that's Noah.
We'll find out if it is.
It's Noah.
So
here we go.
Here's a representation of some of the parts that we make. So this is a couple different parts, but that's kind of an idea. So those were cut and bent and are later going to go to an assembly stage and get made. So these are aluminum parts. They're white on the top side. They come with PVC on them to kind of help protect the finish. And then the way that we cut these is actually on a turret punch. So if we want to jump over to either photo 3 or number 4, that'll kind of give you a better idea of what the sheet looks like. So yeah, so we
Okay.
take a sheet of metal. My most standard size is a 4-foot by 8-foot sheet, and then I use a turret punch. So it has some limitations compared to a laser, but also it has a lot of benefits. So a part like this, where you need to hit the same size hole a whole bunch of times, it is basically it beats lasers. It just goes
Yeah.
faster. So small parts and things with tricky contours, a laser can definitely win on, but a punch has a lot of benefits. The limitation with a punch, if we hop over to number 4, that one will show kind of my limitation. So whereas a laser can come in and just trace the profile of a part, I have to use a punch and a die combination to
Okay.
cut out that shape. So that's why you see kind of the weird outline around the part, is because I had to use a tool that shape and that size to cut that hole. Not necessarily a bad thing, not necessarily any slower, but it just kind of one of the things that we have to deal with.
Highlander's asking there, what series of aluminum is that? Is it 5,000, 6,000, or 7,000?
Those 2 photos that you just saw, or that first photo that we looked at, was 5052 aluminum, and the next big one that we use is 6061. Those are primarily my 2 most common are those 2. And it'd be 6061 T6 if you want to get specific. I do a little bit of T0 work, but not quite as much.
So, aluminum versus steel. Is there a lot of forgiveness when you're working with metal products?
Yeah, on my end, until we get to the welding stage, they're basically the same. If I'm just cutting and bending parts, and if it's aluminum, if it's steel, there's really not too much I have to do differently. All metal acts differently, so if I have a program that bends a 90-degree bend on steel, it's not necessarily going to do the same thing on aluminum, because aluminum is softer, so it'll want to bend easier. But for all intents and purposes, just cutting it and bending it and assembling it, it's pretty much the same. It's when you start getting into welding and finishing and kind of more that aspect, that then you kind of have to, okay, we're going to be doing stuff a little bit differently. So.
Gotcha. Now, you spoke earlier about CAD. So do you guys do a lot of CAD drawings? Everything come, specified as CAD?
Yes.
I don't know too much about it. That's why I'm asking.
So we use SolidWorks. It's basically the industry standard for industrial CAD modeling. It's what a lot of our customers use as well. We do in-house CAD work, especially for our product line that we have. We make parts for side-by-side storage boxes and small accessories, things like that. But generally, a lot of our customers will either have a CAD model already ready to go, or they'll have, like in your guys' case, a print and a sample. So if you don't have an actual CAD model, I can take the part, I can pull the measurements off of it, work it up on the computer, and then move forward from there. So
very cool.
yeah, we do have that capability, and anything from small, simple sign to a multi-part assembly with tons of pieces and components, it's all the same.
What's the most challenging project you've ever had to embark on?
That would be our military customer for sure. The most challenging is hard because they're all challenging for different reasons. Military work is challenging because everything has to be dead on and it has to be right the first time, which that's the case with everything that I do, because you don't want to have to rework parts, but the limitations are a lot more defined, and it has to be this way, and there's no room for forgiveness. So that's probably the biggest challenge, is doing those. Just on our business, I think our biggest challenge has been our product line. So during COVID, we were actually good because we worked with our military customer. They had government contracts, so we were able to stay busy through COVID. It was actually like right after COVID is when we slowed down, because we were waiting on government contracts that didn't get filed during COVID. So we were like, okay, let's try selling our own stuff of things that we had already made for ourselves, but let's just sell them to other people. So entering the world of like direct to consumer sales was a big hurdle for us, because that's not something we had done before. Before, it was just work with a company and we're done. And now I got to work with 1,000 companies, because they're all just people who find my product.
Yeah.
And so that was like a whole new world of things to get into, and a lot of learning to go with that.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I imagine so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's been fun though.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Very cool. And we got some more pictures, don't we?
Yeah.
Let's see what we got here for you.
So this is kind of like a larger scale project that we did. This is a tooling cabinet for our press brake tools. I think this does a good job of exemplifying the mindset that we have. So this is a cabinet that we could have bought somewhere else, but instead we looked around and realized that, okay, we have the materials and we have the ability, so why don't we just make it ourselves? So instead of going out and spending way more money on a cabinet that's essentially the same thing as this but made by somebody else, it's like, all right, let's take the time and effort and design it ourselves. So all of this was done in-house, from concept in the head to CAD model on the computer to cut programs, bending, welding, and all that. That's a pretty good idea of some of the larger assemblies that we have the capabilities of doing. And then other things are like, if we look at photo 8 here, it's kind of another example of a little bit easier thing. So this is a drink flight. I don't know if you guys have been to the Mexicano.
I love the Mexicano.
Yeah, so they have a bunch of Chef Joey's he's a visionary when it comes. So he has grand ideas and wants to do like big presentation and stuff like that. So we did some donkey carts that your churros come on, and we did all kinds of weird stuff for him. So
did you ever try their 3-foot quesadilla there?
I made the press that the 3-foot quesadilla, because he couldn't find a tortilla press big enough in 3-foot length, so I had to custom make him one.
Yeah,
So.
I'm telling you right now, anyone in the Phoenix area, if you ever get a chance, go to the Mexicano and just check out. They got this 3-foot quesadilla that just sits on the whole table, and it is good. It'll feed
So good.
8 to 10 people easily. I mean,
Nice.
But it's one of their staples, you know.
Yeah, so that's kind of fun thing. So these are some other projects that we work on. So Chef Joey's a local guy. He does work with a local company, and they found us, and that kind of ties into what you guys are saying, where there's a tremendous benefit in working with people close to you. So
Yeah,
Right.
there is. Yeah.
And in the Phoenix area, I mean, the talent pool is so diverse, and there's a lot of it.
yep.
So yeah,
When you really start to look, you see how many companies and industries have presence here and everywhere, and down any street in any industrial area, there's a little shop, and they make something for somebody bigger, and that's
you just
It's
never
true.
know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I know you and Harry went out, right? And you were like wandering around and walked into a place, right, where you almost got tased, right?
Yeah, we almost got tased there, and didn't realize what it was. Anyway, they build weaponry for the military.
Yeah.
okay.
And we didn't know. We just walked through the door. Well, we're carrying a case that looks like a gun case with us that has some product samples in it, right?
Yeah.
And that didn't go over too well.
No.
So we were that close to getting tased. So,
Well, if you walk into my shop, I won't tase you. I'll be a
thank
little
you.
bit
I
more friendly.
what about if people come to you, like, for instance, Cass over there, she rides motorcycle, right? So what if she needs some custom work done on parts for, say, her motorcycle?
So that is one of the biggest questions I get is custom work, and hey, I got this little one-off thing I want to do. Well, yes, I can do it. I am not the best option, and I'm not afraid to tell you that, because the way our shop is set up and our machines work, we're better for production volumes and anything with scale. Setup times are the biggest deal in fabrication. So if my machine is not set up to run that part, I have to go out there and set it up. That's the same if you want 1,000 parts or if you want one part. So my onesie twosie stuff, it doesn't end up making a ton of sense, and there are a lot of shops that specifically focus on that kind of work that would be better suited for it. While we can do it, it's not necessarily something I would try to pursue, just because my time is better spent on things like you guys, where you have volume jobs and things that are I'm gonna make this again. I'm not just gonna make it one time and then never do it again.
Right.
In fact, you do some work for us. We have a little bit of video.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to get to that. This is some fun
If you
stuff
stuck
here.
around so far, you're in for a treat.
Yeah, you really are. This is kind of cool.
This does have a high cool factor to it. Let's go to the videotape.
There we go.
Is this the video?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
On that. So since there's no breakdown, I'll kind of let you know. But so these are the parts as they come off of our punch. It's fully automated. Sheet goes in without any cuts or anything on it. Gets loaded onto the working platform, and then it gets pulled off onto this table that you see here, and then the parts are tabbed in. So in order to break those off, back in my day, I used to grab those sheets and shake them like crazy up and down. Now we have a nice little air hammer. When we break them off, since they were tabbed onto the sheet, that way they weren't all loosey-goosey, we come in and we grind the tab back off and make sure that that sits down nice and flat. Once you have that all done, it's pretty much a clean edge from there. We'll go over and then we will hit them on the press brake, which that's the next step we'll jump to.
We have Michael Scott visiting us. You remember who Michael Scott is?
Have some paper needs.
Hey, strangers, miss y'all. Michael Scott. I don't. I'm sorry, Michael.
Hey, Nicole. How are you?
Is that Nicole?
Yes.
Nicole!
Who loves you, babe?
Is the press break?
The press brake was a step right before this,
okay.
and then this is the how we're processing the bar for the hooks. So,
Okay.
so what I'm doing here is I'm taking. This is when I was doing them a little bit less at a time, but we're doing 20 at a time now. So we'll take 20 sticks and we'll cut them all the length at once. That way it helps speed up the process.
Mm-hmm.
That leaves a little bit of a burr on it from the saw, so we come in and we round that out. Since we're making cable managers, we don't want any sharp edges or corners to snag or tear either the operator or the wire itself.
Right.
And then these will get taken back over to the press brake, which I forgot to include that step. But once we have all those bent up, we have a fixture made, and then that fixture will help align the hook itself and the panel for our spot welder. So here we're just knocking off burrs and getting everything ready to be bent, kind of keep it consistent. And then last but not least is our fixturing. So this is a fixture we made. Helps with the spacing. So we're having uniform spacing across all your parts because of where the hooks are going into at the slots. And then those slots are also help keeping them aligned. So that was one of the issues that you guys mentioned going up with the previous batches. So we wanted to make sure that there was a little bit of extra attention to detail there, that these aren't going off at weird angles. They're all straight on and facing the way that they're supposed to. So real quick spot weld. We have a offset tip because you got to get into the hook itself. A little bit tricky there. And then that part comes off the fixture and stacked on a pallet. And we've been doing thousands of these.
Yeah.
And
Wow, how
I know
fun.
you probably couldn't see that, but there is a really nice embossed
Yeah.
Gruber logo on
If
there.
you go
as
to
well.
Yeah.
photo 12, yeah.
There we go.
So that was one of this is where my punch starts to shine. So any sort of post operation that you're going to be doing on a part, like let's say you have a countersunk hole, you have a embossed bead roll or an embossed logo, something like that. Normally what you would do is you would take that part off of a laser or water jet or whatever machine you're going to use to cut it on, and then you would take it over to a press and then stamp it in one at a time. What my punch has the ability to do is just go grab a tool with the Gruber logo and just come in and stamp it in a fraction of a second. So,
Wow.
so we get, I think it's about 74 parts on a sheet, and then
Yeah.
there's 2 logos per part, and that logo stamping is done in, I would say, less than a minute and a half. It has gone through and stamped all those logos.
Oh, wow.
So-
Wow.
Wild.
So really quick, and it does that with countersunk holes too. So if you're using rivets or if you're any aerospace grade, hardware, things like that, you can stamp rivets, countersunk holes into parts really easy. If you hop over to photo 10, that shows both of those as well. So it'll be the bead roll there. So that step down section, that's done on our machine. So we just trace a profile and it comes down and it presses into the sheet. It draws that circle and it'll do each pass 3 times. So each time it'll get 10 thousandths deeper to get that full form. And then the rivets on this part as well that you can see, they're flush to the surface of the metal. So we use countersunk pop rivets that sit flat on the metal, make it just look a little bit nicer.
Sweet.
That's cool.
There is a very big cool factor to all this.
There is.
Yeah.
It really is. Can you go back up on the live chat there? We had a few messages I think we need to take a quick peek at. That should be good. Highlander wants to know what brand CNC machine you're running.
Yeah, I'm a Trumpf shop, so it's a German brand that they make anything from punches, press brakes, lasers. They make hand tools and stuff like that as well. They're an amazing machine. They really put a lot of attention into the engineering and design of it, where other manufacturers of machines might just be, okay, let's have it do this one thing and get it done, and that's what it does. They do a really good job of making a system and a platform that really excels. So we're Trumpf brand, and yeah,
Cool.
we run.
If you scroll down a little bit, let's see, Pete says, Shop Dog, how cool.
Yeah, that's Alpha. So that's the one person out of the family group that I forgot to mention. But we do have in-house security. Her name's Alpha. She'll come and bring you a tennis ball, and she wants to play.
Generally break up the day, right?
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah, it's nice, but she does come home filthy. Yeah, I have beds for her all over the shop, but her favorite place to lay is in whatever pile of dust I just made.
That's cool. So what do you think is like you're on the coolness factor? You
Yeah.
go, wow, this was a cool project to work on.
Our side-by-side boxes is my favorite thing to work on, and the coolest thing to me to work on. So that was that bead roll picture we showed as a picture of the lid. But so my dad had originally designed a storage box that doubles as a spare tire mount. So you can actually put a tire on the lid of the storage box, and it's fully dustproof, sandproof, waterproof. It opens up really easy because it has gas struts weighted for a tire, and those are fun to make. They're fully aluminum, and that's my favorite material to work in. And it's fun to weld them and finish them. We never really did a lot of like the finishing work, like grinding down welds and putting grain finishes and stuff. So that was new in that product. So I think that's probably the funnest thing to do. After that, it would be military customer and doing those kind of like high level things and the
just
fine
intriguing type of
work.
stuff. Yeah.
It's all super cool. But I think for me personally, it's all the power sports stuff, because that's what I have a passion in, and I like watching races of jet skis and dirt bikes and all that stuff. So being able to make parts and then see that, I made a part that's on that jet ski, and that jet ski just won world champions.
That's
Right.
cool.
Yeah.
That's coolness factor right there.
So I think that's probably it for me.
Yeah, and what about, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say further education. This is, as technology changes, what do you see for yourself as continuous education?
Yeah, so new software and new ways of doing things as far as programming the machines. We were speaking a little bit earlier about how AI is going to play kind of a role in manufacturing and just everyday business operations. So I'm definitely optimistic on that for a lot of the things that I can do. Right now, I've been seeing a lot of tools for like programming with AI, just to kind of help eliminate a lot of the clicking mouses and pressing buttons thing that we got to do now. So I'm definitely interested in that kind of stuff, but just staying current on new and better softwares. We're definitely on a legacy program, and we're actually just now updating to the new one that Trumpf has out. So that's exciting, and it's going to be a learning curve, but I'm ready for it. Should hopefully make the day a little bit less difficult when doing the programming and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like we're about out of time.
These
I
go by
know,
fast,
They do
don't
go
they?
by
So quick.
fast. Very glad to have one of our partners on. That's something that we like to showcase, especially. These are our favorite shows when we showcase customers or partners. It's always a great time and always nice to show you how things happen around here at Gruber. So, we're here every Thursday, 3 p.m. Arizona time. We appreciate you being here. Like, subscribe, and share this podcast. For now, I'm Mark Beach.
I'm John Dotson, and
I'm Ty.
Hey.